All right. I think I've spoken enough about trade unions for both of our good in the past units. Let us take a detour. Let us take a small break from all that and let us step into a world where there are no unions. Mm-mm, not even one. Yes, we are going to talk about the non union firms this time. Companies that operate without a formal trade union involvement. Now, before you assume that this means employees have no voice, think again. In fact, non union firms have developed their own ways of managing employee relations, conflict resolution, and worker participation. And sometimes these methods are surprisingly effective also, almost like reinventing the HR wheel. So, let us start from the beginning. Non union firms, what are they? Non union firms are simply organizations where no trade union exists to represent workers. What happens here then? The HR department plays the superhero role here. They are the guys who try to balance employee satisfaction and business goals without a union in sight. Now, you might be wondering, why would a company avoid unions? Okay, there are actually many reasons why some organizations might choose to remain non union. First and foremost, some managements prefer to keep things simple. They believe unions can slow down their decision making or create red tapeism. Others just simply never ended up having a union, maybe because of their size or the nature of their work, or maybe even pure chance. Talking about these non union firms, let us look at what exactly is a good non unionism. What is a good non unionism? Is there something like that? Well, to be called or to be labeled as good non unionism, firms has to have management which makes a genuine effort to keep their employees happy, like with good pay, job security, regular promotions, open communication, and a healthy work environment. So, if the management is already doing everything that a union would demand, then the employees might just think, why bother with the union? Right? It's another meeting on a weekend. Now, without these unions, how do these firms maintain employee involvement? See, I want you to remember this very clearly. Just because there is no union, it does not mean employees are voiceless. In non union firms, managers have to use several techniques and they use several interesting techniques also. They may hold regular town hall meetings, they might allow for anonymous feedback through suggestion boxes, or they may even set up small employee councils. It is like a mini Lok Sabha in your office. Everyone has a chance to speak. Also, many firms encourage one on one communication. So instead of sending an angry email to your HR, you might just walk into your HR manager's cubicle and talk it over a cup of chai. Right. There are even reward based suggestion schemes like if your idea saves the company money or improves the productivity, then you might earn a bonus or at least a pat on the back, which is what mostly happens. Now, some non union companies also have employee representation committees that are elected by peers, and these guys act as a bridge between the workers and the management. It is like having office version of your college class rep or your mess rep. I was in a hostel and we had a mess rep. So if there is any complaint about the meals in the mess, which we most every time had, we used to tell it to the mess rep, and the mess rep will convey it to the canteen guys and the college admin, like that. So like that, it will be there in the non-union firms also. Now, coming to the HR system in these firms, we saw that it plays a very huge role in keeping things running smoothly. Without a union, the responsibility to keep employees satisfied falls heavily on HR. So, they work hard to offer competitive salaries, flexible work arrangements, and good career development opportunities. Performance appraisals become very important here because and those the performance appraisals when we talk about, yeah, I'm not talking about the kind where your manager says do better and disappears, but rather some constructive regular feedback which will actually help employees grow. Well-being also comes to a center stage here because there may be workshops on stress management or ergonomic chairs might be put. There will be a well-lit working area. Even mental health support schemes will be there. And when conflicts arise, which they will definitely do, the HR will step in with structured grievance redressal systems to make sure employees are heard. Now, speaking of conflict, let us talk about how these firms do or solve disputes. Since there are no unions or collective bargaining arrangements, they turn to what we call as alternative dispute resolution. Alternate dispute resolution, or ADR in short. It simply means resolving disputes through methods like mediation, arbitration, or facilitation. For instance, in mediation, a neutral person will help both sides talk it out and find the middle path. Like that friend who convinces you and your roommate to stop fighting over the fan speed. In arbitration, a neutral party will listen to both sides and that person will make the decision. The arbitrator will make the decision, and that decision has to be followed by everybody. Peer review panels are also used. So here your fellow employees will hear your grievance and they will give their verdict. Some firms also use ombudsmen. They are like internal detectives for justice. Employees can raise complaints and the ombudsman will investigate and recommend fair solutions. But one downside of all these alternate methods is that agreeing to such a mandatory arbitration might mean that you give up your right to go to court. So it's a kind of like a legal trade-off, but who wants to go to court anyways? Nothing is going to get done in 1 or 2 days. It might be faster this way, right? Anyways, now let's touch upon the various strategies that these non-union firms use. There is something called as Employee Participation Program. Employee Participation Program, EPPs. It's a fancy term, but simply it means involving employees in decisions. It could be through councils, quality circles, or even profit sharing. And then there is direct communication, encouraging open dialogues. Some firms also focus on production centered participation, where they involve workers in improving efficiency, reducing cost, and enhancing the process. That is why it is called production centered. Okay, so any decision, before taking any decision related to reducing cost or improving efficiency, they involve workers there. It is all about making the factory or office run like a well-oiled machine, perfect 100% efficiency or maximum efficiency as much as is possible. On the other hand, we have worker-centered participation, and this is more about improving employees' work conditions and addressing their personal concerns. So, production-centered is focusing on the production, the process of the organization, the output of the organization. Worker-centered is where employees take the center stage. Both these types of what you can say employee participation can be combined depending upon the company's culture. Now, what factors have led to the rise of such non-union firms? Non-union firms are on the rise. Not many organizations now choose to choose trade unions. They all try to make sure that there are no unions. Why? Well, there are quite a few reasons why we are seeing a growth of these non-union firms. First and foremost is globalization. It has made companies chase cost cutting and flexibility, and also they have expanded also. Tech changes, technology. It has automated many roles where unions were once strong, like robots are replacing manual labor. And the rise of gig economy is also a challenge. That means there is more contractual work and less traditional employment. The permanent staff is kept to the minimum. Also, let us not forget management's preference for a more flexible environment, fewer delays, and less bureaucracy. Many employees also feel, especially the younger ones like myself, I prefer direct relationship with the management instead of joining any kind of union. And government policies in some places have also made unionization harder. So put all of this together and you have got the perfect recipe for a non-union workspace. Let me know in the comments whether you are that kind of person who prefer joining unions or not. Before we wrap up, let us quickly look at how this worker management relationship has functions in such firms. There is participative management. We said the employee participation programs. It involves employees in decisions, employee engagement strategies, open communication, flexible work policies, career development programs, and of course, a problem solving approach where both parties work together like teammates rather than adversaries. So, these are all the ways in which worker management relationship is maintained. So, dear friends, the big takeaway from this unit is that non union firms are not lawless jungles, but rather they have systems, policies, and innovative strategies to ensure employee voices are heard and relationships stay healthy. Whether through suggestion boxes or ombudsmen, what matters is that there is trust, transparency, and teamwork. And if that is in place, unions or no unions, employees can thrive and organizations can also grow. All right, that is a wrap for this unit. Remember, if your future workplace doesn't have a union, then your HR knowledge is going to come in very handy. So make sure you don't settle disputes over chai, but rather use proper channels for it. I hope this unit and this session helped you in your learning journey. Until we meet again, happy learning.